Paper and cardboard are just everywhere. From the box that shows up on your doorstep to the packaging on your food, they are these silent, essential materials we use every single day. But behind all that convenience, there's a story that almost never gets told. A paper trail that honestly leads to some pretty shocking places. So let's follow that trail and see exactly where it goes.
I mean, really think about it for a second. The modern economy practically runs on cardboard boxes. More than half of all paper products made today are for packaging and wrapping. It's kind of woven into the fabric of our lives, getting stuff from all over the world right to our homes.
But all of this comes at a price. We see the clean brown box, but the process of making it can leave a really heavy mark on the environment. The truth is, the pulp and paper industry is a huge source of pollution, but it's one that often flies completely under the radar.
Okay, so let's pull back the curtain and take a hard look at the real environmental footprint of making paper. What you're about to see is that the industry's impact on our climate is way, way bigger than what's officially being reported.
So, the big question is, how much bigger are we talking about here? The official numbers tell one story, but what's the full picture? And here it is. This slide shows the massive difference. In 2023, the EPA officially reported about 33 million metric tons of greenhouse gases from the biggest paper mills in the US. But when you account for everything, the real number is estimated to be a staggering 115 million metric tons. Just let that sink in. That is more than 3.5 times the amount that's on the books.
And to put that giant number into perspective, the largest paper mills are each pumping out as much greenhouse gas pollution as a large oil refinery. Yeah, an oil refinery. We tend to think of paper as this natural or clean product, right? But this data shows its climate impact is right up there with heavy fossil fuel industries. This is not some small accounting error.
So how in the world can an entire industry's emissions be so dramatically undercounted? Well, it's not some accident or a math mistake. It's because of a very specific and pretty controversial reporting rule known as the biogenic loophole.
Okay, so paper mills burn a lot of wood and wood byproducts to power their operations. The most common of these is a tar-like waste called black liquor. These are called biogenic fuels, and the EPA lets companies not count the CO2 released when they burn them. The thinking is, well, you can just plant more trees and they'll eventually suck that carbon back up. But that's a huge debate because it takes decades for new trees to grow, and all that carbon is in our atmosphere right now, today.
So beyond the rules on paper, there are real, physical reasons for all this pollution. The problem is really rooted in the industry's infrastructure. It's a combination of really outdated technology and a reliance on some seriously dirty fuels.
And this slide just illustrates perfectly how old we're talking. The average industrial boiler at a U.S. paper mill was installed around 1984. That's when rotary dial phones were still a thing. And get this, the oldest one still running today dates all the way back to 1928. These older systems are just way less efficient and pump out way more pollution.
So what are these old boilers even burning? Well, it's not just wood. It's a whole cocktail of fuels, including some of the absolute dirtiest stuff you can find. Coal, used tires, and something called petroleum coke, which is basically waste from oil refining. About a fifth of the largest mills are burning at least one of these.
So far, we've been talking about industry-wide data. But these aren't just abstract numbers floating around. This pollution has a very real, very local impact on the people who live in the shadow of these mills. So let's look at the human story behind all these statistics.
This quote from a resident in Covington, Virginia, just brings the reality of this pollution right home. It's not just a number on a chart. It's a daily, physical experience that completely changes people's quality of life.
And you can see right here just how close these communities are to the source. The Smurfit West Rock Mill in Covington is a massive feature of the landscape. I mean, the smokestacks are literally towering over homes and playgrounds. There's just no escaping it.
Residents there talk about a constant rotten egg smell from hydrogen sulfide. They describe soot and ash coating everything. One person said the snow is not white here. Local fishermen have seen the Jackson River turn black as coffee. And it gets worse. Beyond just the nuisance, these mills are releasing probable carcinogens like acetaldehyde into the air.
And this is not an isolated case at all. The new Indy Mill in South Carolina has been hit with nearly 50,000 odor complaints from residents since 2018. That has led to major lawsuits and even EPA emergency orders. This is a pattern we see in communities all across the country.
Okay, so the problem is really clear. But the good news is it's not unsolvable. There are real,
concrete, innovative paths forward that can help clean up this industry and protect these communities.
A huge piece of the solution is something we can all be a part of: recycling. Just look at this. Making 1 ton of cardboard from 100% recycled paper uses 0 new trees, 32% less water, and releases only about a quarter of the greenhouse gases compared to using fresh-cut wood. The difference is absolutely dramatic.
Technology offers some powerful solutions too. First, just replacing those ancient boilers is a huge step. Second, installing modern industrial heat pumps could slice a mill's energy demand in half. And for water pollution, there are advanced treatments that use microbes to literally eat up the waste before it ever gets to a river.
And here's the really crucial point for the industry. Cleaning up isn't just an expense, it's an investment. Using these modern treatments for wastewater can lead to annual cost savings of 20 to 50%. So being cleaner can actually mean being more profitable.
So the path forward really boils down to a clear 4-point plan. First, switch to cleaner fuels and modernize the technology. Second, use as much recycled paper as possible. Third, we need stronger pollution limits, and they need to actually be enforced. And finally, the big one: close that biogenic loophole and demand accurate, transparent reporting of all emissions.
Our modern world really does run on paper. So the question for all of us, for consumers, for companies, and for regulators, is can we finally create a cleaner paper trail? One that doesn't leave communities and our climate paying the hidden price?